Welcome back to the Movie Draft House. I'm your I am your host, Mark.
Do you want to take it again? Just keep
No,
rolling? Okay.
no. I'm your host, Mark. That's your host, Jeff.
What up? Blah, blah, blah. What up, Mark?
That's
How we doing today?
doing well. It's 10:30 in the morning, and apparently I'm still waking
Drunk
up.
already?
Or I could be drunk already. Oh, probably both is true. Anyways, Jeff,
Yeah.
tell them what the theme is this month and what we watched this week.
Yeah. So the theme this month was my idea, which is why it's so good. We're doing Days of Future Past, which basically means we're watching movies that take place in the future, but in real life, that date has already passed. So I always like to use Back to the Future 2 as an example. Takes place in 2015. We live in the year of 2026.
Yeah.
So 2015 is in the past. So we're looking back at futures that have passed and seeing maybe if anybody got anything right. And we've yet to talk about that at all in the previous film. But
Yeah.
we probably won't in this one either, which is fine. Because neither of them... What did we watch last week?
We watched Escape from New York, which took place in 1999.
Yeah, well, and we in technology was anyway. It doesn't matter. I forgot. Oh man, I really, when you sit with a movie a while,
Yeah.
you can tell whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
And when you said that, I realized, ooh, I really don't like Escape from New York.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I've already forgot it.
Yeah, so that tuned in last week to look at that one. But this week we looked at V for Vendetta. This came out in 2005. It runs for 2 hours and 12 minutes, and it takes place in, do you remember, 20?
I think it's 20. It's either 2018 or 2019. One of the two.
Okay. It takes place then. And it has a pretty banging cast. It's got Hugo Weaving, Natalie Portman, Stephen Fry, John Hurt, and some others, mostly people who are old, I guess. Anyway,
Old and British.
British, lots of British people. It's directed by James McTeague, and it's based on the Alan Moore graphic novel V for Vendetta.
Also written by the Wachowski siblings.
Yes, which I did not know. However, this feels like, once I saw it, I'm like, oh, that kind of feels right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of feels like that made sense to me.
I mean, so this film, and I think I've only seen it all the way through once, and that was when it originally came out, because it was touted to be the Wachowski. Wachowski wrote it, and they are also famous for the Matrix films, and so Hugo Weaving was a big name then, 2005.
What happened? Like, why is he? I mean, I haven't looked at his filmography, but he's so good.
He's so good. I think he's more voice actor than anything else.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is a big thing he was in, but really, yeah, like he didn't get more shit. Like he seems like how, and maybe he did, and I'm just forgetting. But how the fuck did he not have a turn? Oh, he did. Okay, never mind. I was going to say, how did he not have a turn as a villain in the MCU? And he did. He was Red Skull.
Yeah.
In the first, which again, great casting because Hugo Weaving's awesome. But yeah,
I mean, so
doesn't make sense.
And Hugo Weaving lends his voice to this entire movie. We never see his face.
Now, I'm curious. Is he in the suit?
I'm not sure. I mean,
I'm going to find out.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know how old Hugo Weaving is, so this came out
He's not that old.
20 years ago. So, I mean, this is coming off The Matrix and Lord of the Rings, and but him in Lord of the Rings, he wasn't really a prominent character. I don't know. When I think of Hugo Weaving, I think more voice actor. I think of the Transformer films. I think of him as Megatron. I don't necessarily think of him here, but I mean, obviously, when you hear the character V, instantly you're like, oh yeah,
yeah, and that's him as well, doing the physicality.
Okay, that's cool
of the character as well. So
because it's like
it is not a Darth Vader situation where it's
the Mandalorian, right? Where what's his face lends his voice, but is not necessarily in the. He's not the body
Yeah,
for a lot of now. What's his what is his name?
don't know. You got a computer in front of you.
Yeah. Damn it. Um. Anyways, why my brain is not on today? Not yet.
It clearly isn't.
Not yet. No, you know what I'm talking. You know who I'm talking about.
I don't. What was the name of the movie?
The Mandalorian.
I don't watch The Mandalorian.
You don't even listen when I talk. So again,
What was that?
Established on the podcast for multiple weeks now. When I'm talking, you are not even listening.
Very confused.
Right. I know.
You know, I listened. You said that in The Mandalorian, there was a guy in the suit, but there's a different voice guy, and you're
Pedro
trying to
Pascal.
think of their name.
Pedro Pascal.
Okay, thank you. I don't know. I've never watched The Mandalorian.
He's got
See,
a helmet
listen.
on. He's got a helmet on the entire time.
I know he looks like fucking Boba Fett, right?
Yes.
So,
Anyways, I was just trying to draw correlation
and I had already done it
with
with
what?
Darth Vader.
I,
Darth Vader. See, you don't even listen to me.
I heard you talk about
Yes,
Darth Vader.
No.
I heard you talk about
You
Darth
don't
Vader,
get to
but
do that. No.
Anakin Skywalker is not important right now.
Well,
Anyway,
neither's the fucking Mandalorian.
anyways, this movie is probably appropriate for any time, but it's especially appropriate right now.
I was gonna say.
It is a call to action, if you will. I've never read any I guess the comic books or the graphic novel, whatever. So my only knowledge of V for Vendetta comes from this movie, but it is a movie about revolution. It is a movie about how far would you go to ensure that people yourself or people stay free, right? And the character of V wears a Guy Fawkes mask. And I'll be honest, I don't know the history of the Guy Fawkes mask, but
See, I haven't seen this. I saw this in theaters back in 2005, and I don't think I've watched it since. So
Right.
a lot of the beats I remember, like I remember the fate of the characters, and I remember, of course, the iconic head shaving scene, and
Yeah.
I remember a lot of the. Actually, I remember quite a bit. What I did not remember was that Guy Fawkes isn't this guy. I thought his name was Guy Fawkes, but no, it's not. He's inspired by this historical character, and we don't ever find out V's name,
right.
his real name. So possibly he doesn't remember it. I don't know, but yeah. That's one of those things I didn't remember.
I honestly think that it's not. I think the point of the character is that it's not important to know his name or even see his face, right? He's purely the voice of the people, essentially, and I think it's highly appropriate to take a very well known voice like Hugo Weaving. I mean, I don't know at the time if that was the idea, but since 20 years later. Hugo Weaving's voice is very iconic, and I think it serves the film better now than when it originally came out, is because having an iconic voice, it's like James Earl Jones for Darth Vader.
Yeah, I should have used that as an example earlier.
I heard it when you did, but also. I guess maybe you could, like these faceless characters that are just mask. I think Hugo Weaving does an excellent job with the dialogue, and the writing is very sharp. There's several bits of dialogue from V that is very probably hard bits of dialogue. Like he speaks in riddles at the beginning of the movie,
Yeah,
and
well, an alliteration,
yeah,
like that
right,
whole sequence where like every other word starts with V.
right.
I love that shit. That was
Oh, and
so
so
much
somebody
fun.
because he saves Natalie Portman's character, and they're like, "Who are you?" And he starts just rambling off these V words, and my wife turns to me. She goes, "I wonder how many times they had to do that for him to get it right."
I wonder how long it took him to write it. Like,
Yeah,
okay, we need, is it a synonym? We need a synonym for fear, but it has to start with V.
right.
And like, just how many hours they spent writing, or maybe they didn't have to. Maybe it was in the fucking comic, and Alan Moore took care of it for him years ago.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it's sharp. It's sharply delivered. It's iconic. Like him as this character is iconic now, in my opinion, is because the entire movie he's this movie is Beauty and the Beast, by the way. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
and the only deviation really is that the beast is not trying to turn back into a human. He's just trying to destroy the government. But I mean, this Natalie Portman is Belle, and she's locked in his tower essentially, and he only agrees to let her go, and if she comes back, and so there's a lot of, and I don't know how old the story is for V Vendetta.
That's a good. I didn't pick up on that it is Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I'm watching. I'm like, wait a minute,
Yeah,
and too bad there's not like a candlestick and a clock somewhere.
because then she falls in love with him
Yeah, it's
after being
torture.
treated like shit.
Well,
That really does call into question
well, no,
like
I
her
think
feelings for it might be unhealthy.
yeah. There's a lot,
Like,
a lot of
'cause he,
toxicity here, but
yeah,
but like the reveal, and I already knew the reveal, right, because I'd seen it before, but
right.
the whole point of him torturing her is so that she gets over her own fear, and he's
Well,
really
also, I think he's making sure that she's not going to sell him out. Like that's, I think, yeah. Oh, I'm getting you over your. Listen, man, this might be more toxic of a movie than I realized. Like, because like you said, there's Stockholm syndrome, right? She starts falling for her captor, and then now, granted, he's also captured her to protect her as well, right?
I
Like,
I yes, that's what he
because she's
says.
doomed. She's going to get killed by the government for helping V, right?
But I
So
also
there's
think
that.
midway through
It's a
the
little more
movie,
layered,
I
but
also, I also think midway through the movie, it turns from him wanting to protect her to him training her to be him when he dies. Is because his end goal has always been to get revenge on the people that killed.
that's the other thing. It isn't just about his idealism,
Right. No,
right?
there's very
There's
much
revenge too.
revenge. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
A lot of it is masked in this
Ooh,
idealism of, hey, the government is corrupt, the government is oppressive, the government is, bad, and we need to overthrow the government. That's fine. That's an ideal as old as time in movies and TV and all that. But the course of his actions is he's taken out people that he viewed as the people that killed his mom friend. I don't remember
Well,
who she was, but
so yeah, but also they're the ones that fucking tortured him and made him into a
yeah,
supervillain and made him look like Deadpool.
right.
All burnt to a crisp and shit.
But a lot of what does it for me in this movie too is that the peripheral things in this movie are very much parody.
I'd like an example, please.
When the talk show guy is on TV and everybody's watching, it's like appointment viewing, right? and
So
everybody's
wait, which
watching.
guy? The sort of Tucker Carlson kind of
Yes,
guy?
yeah, yeah,
That guy? Okay.
yeah. The overtop guy. He's the
He's a
Alex
great
Jones guy,
actor.
right?
Do you remember seeing him in another movie? It was a
Uh,
Wachowski film too. I
no.
think the Wachowskis had a lot to do with this because of the cast and everything. So he was in Speed Racer. He was the guy who was the evil, running the evil racing corporation.
I don't remember him. Well, that's fine because I don't
Man,
remember a lot about
I
that
know
movie.
you
But
didn't like Speed Racer, but that movie kicks ass.
but um, no, but like there's a lot of parody here for just how maybe toxic television has become. I don't know, but because
Well,
like
and they're talking
everybody
about how
is glued to the TV, and it shows families all over the country, I guess.
well, and they have to be. It feels like so. This movie is well, and probably the source material is heavily inspired by George Orwell's 1984. And I don't think John Hurt being in this is an accident because John Hurt was in 1984, but he played the average Joe
Yeah,
in 1984. But in this, he plays essentially Big Brother, not quite because Big Brother doesn't actually exist, but he plays like the guy who's running shit, and he's fantastic. I love John Hurt. He's awesome in this. So like so much of that is this authoritarian thing where they create the media. The government has a say, so there is no free speech,
right.
right? And we could talk about this right now
Yeah,
with the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing,
yeah.
because the what's happening is an attack on free speech. Whether you like Jimmy Kimmel or not, the government shouldn't have a say, and that's what's happening.
Well,
Knock my phone over.
the yeah, I agree. Right, I agree. The government should not have a say in what you say. The Jimmy Kimmel thing's a little different because he's saying it on a television program in which he's paid to say things for, and if the employer didn't like it, then
So the problem here is that the reason the employer doesn't like it is
is
because
because the government
the
is
president is saying,
yes,
I'm going to have to reassess your FCC license.
right, and that's
Which
where
is
everything
censorship.
gets
That's
yes, I agree.
exactly. They're having to get approval for what Jimmy Kimmel says from the government, which is exactly what happens in this show when Stephen Fry's show comes on and he says, I didn't send this to get approved.
Right.
I ignored the approved script and we did something different. And, he gets penalized for it. So and I feel it is very timely and very apt. Very apt. Now, granted, I don't think Jimmy Kimmel's life is in any danger, but
It could be.
the beginning of this sort of thing is happening right now. So
No, I think I absolutely
what a
think
butthurt little prick. How many times did like fucking Joe Biden go after Fox News? Right? None.
yeah.
Or how often did George Bush go after SNL because Will Ferrell was doing an impression of him? No times. Zero. What a little
Yeah.
bitch.
Well, and you have to really the past 12 years have been such a black hole for the United States in politics and in how things operate, and especially in media. And this, like I said at the top, this movie is prominent now, but it would be prominent anytime by a lot of different people. Like, this movie doesn't necessarily take a stance on who's right and wrong, other than government's bad, people good.
Well, it doesn't, because government doesn't necessarily have to be bad, right?
No,
I
but
think what
all
they're
government, all governments are inherently
They're-
meant to oppress. And I think
Ooh, they're starting to sound like an anarchist.
no,
You
but
an
I mean,
anarchist?
but I'm not, but um, but I mean, you look at across all times in all countries, the government exists to maintain order, and order can be oppressive. And I mean, if you boil it down, government is inherently oppressive. And, yes, the United States has these freedoms, and it's the most free country in the world, and I love the United States.
Oh,
And
let's I'm oh, I
I mean,
I
you can disagree,
I
but
mean,
that's subjective,
if
right?
you're Hispanic, I don't think it's the most free country in the world.
It's 100% the
If
most
you're,
free country in the world.
I
That's not really up for
completely disagree.
debate. Is
Yes, it
because
is.
is because no other country has the Constitution that the United States has.
But it's being ignored completely.
I
disagree.
I'm not
They don't have the same
debating.
Constitution,
I'm not
but
debating
that doesn't mean they're
race in
Okay.
America, right?
Are
I'm
we
not. I'm not
talking-
debating that.
Are we talking? Is it more free than China? Yes. Is it more free than Sweden?
Yes,
I don't know.
100%.
Why?
100% it is.
How?
Is because in Sweden, it's. I actually don't know much about Sweden, but
But you said 100%, so now you got to back it up.
and I can is because people don't flock to Sweden, right? People flock to the United States in order to live a more free life, to live the American dream. I'm using quotes.
And they drank the Flavor Aid as well.
Yeah, but like,
People
I'm
are flocking out of the United States.
That's not
to
true,
places
though.
like Canada
That's not
and
true.
Scotland.
That's not true.
It is true.
That's not true. They're not flocking, right? They're not flocking.
What do you mean? How do you define flocking?
Oh, you said it first.
They're flocking. Okay,
right?
People from Mexico are flocking to America, but that is more a convenience thing. I think if you had planted the UK in our place, Mexicans would still try to move out into this country just because it's better. Just yeah. I don't agree. Let's move on.
Okay.
I disagree.
I mean, you started it, and then you
Okay,
didn't.
let's
wanna-
go.
I'm just saying. That's not the debate here. Is whether or not America is the most greatest country ever, which it is, right?
No, but that's where we disagree.
You can disagree, but it doesn't have anything to do with who is president right now. It has everything to do with for 250 years this country has existed.
We're going to go all the way back to this being the most free country for 250 years. Do you want to do that?
I didn't. That's not what I said.
Okay. I'm trying to help you.
I mean, you're getting amped up.
I'm trying to help you.
You're getting amped up.
You're about to say this has been the most free country for 250
That's
years.
not what I said.
So-
That's not what I was going to say. I said for
sounds like you
200.
did
This
it.
country has existed for 250 years because of the Constitution that we have in place and the changes that the American people have made to the Constitution. It's one of the most well-defined documents to have ever existed, and because we have that ensures our freedoms. Donald Trump's not going to change that. The government
But
right now is
he's
not going to
just
change
ignoring
that.
it. He's
but-
just ignoring it.
But in 2 years,
people are not
won't-
being given due process. Are we sure?
People
are we
are-
sure that the next person isn't just going to follow in his footsteps and continue the same problem? But are we sure? Because he's working on all of the things that he does anytime there's some dispute in Congress. He's trying to get new election rules proposed. Are we sure?
yes,
I'm not sure.
This country will exist long after Donald Trump, and it will continue to be the most free country long after Donald Trump. It's because
Well, that is a very optimistic view.
and I choose to believe that is because this country has had people in power that have tried to change it for the worst and have not succeeded. This country has grown from periods of time where things weren't good for the better. And, Donald Trump in 3 years will be a memory, right? things I mean, we're witnessing in this country things that he is doing to sabotage his own party from really making any headway for when Donald Trump is no longer in office.
I hope you're right.
And well, I mean, all signs point to it, right? Politicians
I
don't
just thought that
politicians
I
don't
just
succeed when the economy tanks and gas is $4.50 a gallon.
I'd have thought that 3 years ago. I don't think that anymore. Things have changed,
Well, I
and I
mean,
don't. I don't think
why did
that
you think that 3 years ago?
because I watched. The reason I thought that 3 years ago is because of January 6th, how often and how hard the president tried to work to overturn the election. And I saw I saw a portion of the Republican Party cave and support trying to overturn a free and fair election. But the majority of the government stood firm, and Mike Pence stood firm and said, no, this is what people, whether we like it or not, the people have voted, and this is what's going to happen. I don't see that same level of resistance in the Republican Party and frankly in the Democratic Party. I don't see there because he's getting away with so much that is unconstitutional and that no one is standing for and no one is standing up to him and the Supreme Court is kowtowing to him. I have a hard time believing that because there
the
is
Supreme
no one
Court's
standing
not,
up to him right
though.
now.
The Supreme Court's not.
They
He
absolutely are.
he stacked the Supreme Court with conservative minded judges, and that's his prerogative as president of his 2 terms. But
Do you know why they're stacked like that, though?
yeah, to
Because during the end of Obama's presidency, not Chuck Schumer, what's the other old guy who looks like a turtle? Mitch McConnell, he blocked, which like you just said, it was Obama's right to now elect to put in a new Supreme Court justice, but there was a year left and in his tenure, and Mitch McConnell blocked him and said, we're not even going to vote on it. We're not even going to take any suggestions and wait for the new election so that when they didn't know for sure, but when Trump got in, then they're like, okay, now we'll do another conservative one. So like, and that's against like tradition of what used to be. It used to be that politicians they had a set of rules, maybe even unwritten, that they played by, and they don't anymore. It used to be if the president nominated someone for the Supreme Court, they just pretty much it was assumed like no matter what, we're going to put him in because that when the time comes and it's flipped on its head and we have a Republican in and he's doing it, we want the Democrats to do the same. All of that shit is out the window now.
well, and that's why the midterm elections are so important.
Huge.
Right.
Huge.
They're more important than the presidential election. They're
Right now, but
it doesn't matter. So
The
like
way
if the
acting and
Democrats
being
take the House, and they're able to stack the majority, it doesn't matter who's elected in 2028. It's because it's much like
it does still matter.
but see, like Kamala Harris, if she had won in last year or whatever, it would have been such an uphill battle for her to the midterms, because everything that she would have tried to do would have gotten knocked down because the Republicans had the majority, and they probably would have kept the majority, is because that's just how the country was moving. And so, people may not like Donald Trump, which I do not. You do not. Most of the country does not. He's it's a bunch of rhetoric from him. But what really matters is what you do in these elections in November. These redistricting fights in some of these states. They're all getting,
which just happened in our state.
not yet. It will, but not yet.
Yeah, they just caved to a compromised remapping for DeSantis.
Yeah, but it's going to go
So
through the court system, and the Florida Supreme Court will have to weigh in on it, and that's far. It's far from over in this state,
okay,
and so regardless of that, the Republicans are still going to lose their majority in November, just simply because the country does not want what is happening in our country right now. You can go anywhere and they'll be like, "Yeah, I love Donald Trump, but I hate paying $4.50 a gallon for gas."
not all of them.
Well, you know,
There's some people who'll be like, "This is still Biden's fault." What?
yeah, right.
Motherfucker, no, it is not.
So really, all I heard from you in this entire time
Really?
about
Okay, you're going
politics
to minimize what I said all the way down. Go.
is that we need our own V in this country.
No, I don't think that helps.
You don't?
Honestly, I don't think a vigilante would help.
I mean, don't view V as a vigilante. View him as a
A symbol, an idea
Yeah,
is what he
right.
says in the film.
yeah, essentially. You don't think the country needs that right now?
No,
Okay.
because I think a couple things would happen. The right would demonize him. He'd be operating outside of the law.
Which is what he does in this film.
What we need is leaders with backbones. And unfortunately, even like fucking Chuck Schumer is a spineless simpleton, and he's a Democrat.
Politics are in a new age now. You're either extreme on the right or you're extreme on the left. The time of moderate left or right is gone.
I think that is fair.
And really, I don't think it has room to exist right now. And this pendulum's gonna swing back to the left at some point. And I think it starts with November, and I think if the Democrats take the majority, that it will be enough to really and that's why Donald Trump is doing a lot of what he's doing right now, is because he sees the writing on the wall come November. And
Yeah, he also knows that depending on the amount of majority, he has done enough to warrant being impeached. So
oh yeah, no, I think he has long been told that it is the Republican chance at keeping the majority is very fastly fading. And
I think that's specifically with the war in Iran has really
oh yeah, no, that was like kind of the
not
cherry on
helped.
top, right? But a lot of it was, just the economy was not great to begin with, and it's steadily been a decline, and the war in Iran has now tanked it, and a lot of the folks that he was I guess voted for him 2 years ago, and what now 6 years ago maybe, or are being demonized. We're talking about
used to
immigrants,
2016.
and folks of color, and a big population of Hispanic people voted for Donald Trump this past election, and I don't think that's going to be the case in 2028. Not for Donald Trump, but I think for a Republican. And I just think he's been told, and he's not dumb. He acts dumb. He plays dumb.
Who's not?
He plays
Who's
dumb.
not dumb?
But he's not a dumb individual,
He's a
right?
dumb motherfucker. He is stupid.
he can
But
be
go ahead.
an idiot, but
He
inherently
is
he's not
fucking
dumb,
dumb.
right?
I would roast him in any debate on just about any topic. Like he fucking is stupid. I'm sorry. I think
It's fine.
he's his greatest benefit to him is he's charismatic. He's very charismatic,
Sure.
but he's a
But
dumbass.
he also knows business, and he also knows,
He's failed a
he
lot of businesses. He's
sure,
run them into the ground.
but like
He knows how to
he
do
has the
that.
knowledge, right? And
To know how to do it. Yes,
he's been a
he knows
politician for a long
how to
time.
fuck it.
And so he's not dumb. Like he knows how to play the game, right? And
He's fucking stupid.
both in business and in politics. And I'm actually surprised that in 2016 that like he hadn't run for president prior to 2016.
He might have done it. Like I think it always started as a joke, though. But he sucks. Fuck him. I'll let you have the last word because I really want to move on to the movie, and this is just one of those things that I think most people. You might want to put a time code in here to skip the political stuff.
No, because we don't touch it that much. And regardless of what you think, no president will keep me from believing that the United States is not the greatest country that's ever existed.
And there it is.
There it is.
There it is. Now,
Yeah.
fucking shit. Let's talk about Stephen Fry, which I forgot he was in this shit. So he plays like her boss, or
Yeah.
and he like at the beginning he's like, we're going on a date, but she gets stood up because she gets accosted, and they never explained what are the finger men.
That's
Are they
the
cops?
that's the illegal police. ICE, if you will.
Okay, no, that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, and but gets saved by V, and then so Stephen Fry, you later find out, is a ally of or idealistically opposed to the government,
Yeah.
and he even has a lot of art that's been forbidden in his home. You know, like he says, if they came in here, you Evie would be the least of my worries.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's because he has the Quran and other pieces of art that have been banned and all this other stuff. And then you also find out that he's gay, which is not allowed in this government. Which I appreciate that they cast Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry is a gay man, and you know, it helps that he's able to put himself into knowing what it's like to be part of a group that is not socially accepted. So
You
I
think
appreciate
the Wachowskis had anything to do with that?
Probably. I don't think the Wachowskis were out at this point, but
Right.
at the same time, it's something they're very aware of and concerned about. So yeah.
Yeah.
But again, the character might be in the source material, so I don't know. But they probably had something to do with casting Stephen Fry.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about
Yeah.
the character. I was talking about more the actor being gay. Yeah, no, I thought his, kind of his reveal of the secret room and the homoerotic art on the wall and Quran, and he's got some Nazi propaganda stuff.
I think it might have been anti-Nazi, but I'm not
Anti-Nazi.
sure.
Yeah, you're right.
That would be a little weird.
Right. Hey, you want to throw this robe on and come with me to this room?
I'd rather not. Thank you.
It was a reference to the KKK robe.
KKK.
I did enjoy that is because I wasn't expecting it, and it made his character serve a purpose, right? And it gives more credence to the character of Evie, Natalie Portman's character, and her kind of transition to a revolutionist. And we see her at the end of the movie, she takes up the mantle of fighting the government, and that's not on purpose. V in this movie is conditioning her to
Yeah.
very much, be
He
this person.
yeah, he does say, "Hey, you said you didn't want to fear anymore, and that's what I've done for you."
Yeah. I mean, it is weird because you can see that V has feelings for, like, you can't see it emotionally, right? But his
Mhm.
actions, they watched the movie. I forget what movie it was.
It was the Count of Monte Cristo,
Oh, that's
which
right. Yeah.
the whole sequence of the prison scene where she's getting notes from the other side is from the Count of Monte Cristo. The character D'Artagnan,
Yep.
I think I might be mistaken. I can't remember. But D'Artagnan might have been a Three Musketeer. But anyway, gets notes from the guy next door. Did you ever see the Count of Monte Cristo, the Jim Caviezel one? I think Guy Pearce is
Yes.
in it.
I think I did. Yeah, you're right. Guy Pearce is in it. 2002. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen this.
it was pretty good.
Yeah, I remember it being good. I haven't seen it in a long time. And Jim Caviezel, man, he he was a big star back in the early 2000s.
Well, I believe the rumor, possibly confirmed, is that Mel Gibson told him if he played Jesus, he's going to ruin his career or end his career. There won't be any coming back from it, and that's kind of what happened.
Oh yeah, I guess. I mean, it could be that Jim Caviezel is also very right winged himself. So I don't know. Hollywood doesn't really want those types, and so uh, it could be the Jesus thing, but also I think
The,
he's very much been locked out of Hollywood. But at the time, he was a big star.
it's a
And
good movie.
but anyways, yeah. So you can tell that, like, throughout the movie in V and Evie's interactions is that they're both falling for each other, and it's a bit weird, is because Evie never sees his face, never sees his charred, burnt Deadpool face.
When she sees, listen, I've watched enough Love Is Blind to know that love is not blind.
Right.
Now, you can develop attraction.
Yes.
I've seen that in various dating shows and in real life. You can develop attraction. But there's also some times where you can't overcome it. And I don't think she'd be able to, for two reasons. We're not talking about a guy who isn't your type, right?
Right.
We're talking about a guy who's disfigured.
Yeah.
The other thing is he probably has no genitalia anymore.
Ooh.
I think it's been burned off and he looks like a toasted Ken doll. So I think that's going to be a
eunuch.
problem too.
Toasted Kindle. Maybe.
And I think V knows it, which is why he's like, I'm not taking my mask off. I seem to misremember them having a face reveal, but they never do. The closest you get is the reveal of the burnt hands.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I'm completely fine with that, is because the whole attraction thing is very subplotty in this film. And it does very much serve a purpose, is because it keeps Natalie Portman engaged, or the character engaged, in what V's got going on. And I think it allows her to really not be okay, but be okay with being tortured for however long she was tortured, and not immediately be repulsed by this character, is to understand, hey, I am attracted to him because of his ideal. Like, I imagine she's not attracted to him because of his voice, even though it could be.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
It's kind of like butter.
I mean, if I sounded like that, shit, do you imagine what our podcast numbers would be if I could do Hugo weaving? Oh my god, fucking
Autobots assemble.
roll out.
Anyway, I mean, yeah, maybe. but like I mean, she's attracted to his ideals. She's attracted to what he is standing for. She's attracted to what he's accomplishing through his idealism. Even though she asked him, "Did you kill those people?" And he's like, "Well, yeah,
Yep. I love how honest he is.
yeah,
Are you going to kill again? Yep.
yeah." And she's attracted to that. That is what she's attracted to, and yeah, very toxic. She's got her own demons that she's fighting, and you know, I did like, and I'm just thinking about this. But in the beginning of the movie, we see, she's under the bed and her mom's dragged away by the fingermen or whatever, who the fuck ever. And then later in the movie, she's under the bed as a grown person, and Stephen Fry's character is dragged away. And I just thought that was, man, that's a really cool callback, is because this is a mentor type figure to her, and obviously her parents. I just thought, very well done. And very impactful for the movie, is because you knew the second that Stephen Fry was drug away that, I mean, he was dead. And
Right. And they even he was like, what are they going to do? Da da da, like find me or whatever. But then they come and get him, but from what I kind of caught from the dialogue was that he probably would have lived if they had not found all that shit in his basement. Like the Quran specifically was like a big, like I guess any sort of religious texts, which is interesting because usually, well, it could be that there was another religion that the government observed, and anything counter to that they would take out. Was it Catholicism?
No, I was me.
Well, I mean,
it's because Catholics have always been the oppressive type. So,
well, and like there was a quote from someone, and I can't remember what, or if it was from a thing, but it's when, and this is totally a misquote, but something along the lines of, when an authoritarian comes, it'll be draped in the American flag and it will be carrying a cross. And that's kind of like, that's what we're seeing today.
Yeah.
But also seems to be true. It's a formula that's been true.
Yeah, I mean, your most hateful people today are often your Christians. I mean, that's very appropriate. It's that quote you just read is very appropriate, and I think is highly applicable. And I think that religion often does play a factor into how government operates. And even though it's supposed to be separate, and we have the separation of church and state. I mean, we know that it's not really true, right? Well, I mean, it hasn't been true for decades.
I mean, it's I read what was it? Eisenhower was the one, really, I think, that kind of started, because during his presidency is when they added "In God We Trust" to the money, and when they added "Under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right.
I didn't realize it wasn't there before then. So those things have only been around, a fifth of our history as a nation.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
very interesting.
It's something that governments really all over the planet, they blend. They can say whatever they want, is that, hey, the church has no impact on what we do and how we decide things, but that's 100% false. And I mean, you just look no further than, churches are tax exempt. Why? Who the fuck knows? But I mean,
so initially it was supposed to be because they're going to carry out charity, but that has been over time proven to not be the case for the majority of churches.
Right.
I think your small local churches probably benefit greatly from it in a way that's I'm fine with. But then there's your mega churches who don't give back.
Right. And that makes sense.
They buy jets in the name of spreading the gospel.
Right. And that makes sense. I do think it's appropriate that your 100-person congregation, be tax exempt. The church be tax exempt, is because if they had to pay taxes, they probably wouldn't be a church. But, by and large, churches do take They take that stuff, very liberally.
You know, one
Uh,
of the rules, and I don't know, it's certainly not being upheld, but that used to be in place, was that you couldn't endorse a political figure from the pulpit,
right. Yeah.
or you would lose your tax exempt status.
True.
Well, that is certainly not being enforced right now. So,
Right. But like I think this movie touches on all of it, and I think it's so appropriate as a film in any point in time. That's why I really like this film, is that it was over the top in certain aspects, but was very dialed in when it came to what the message was, and at no point in time did I ever look at my clock, my watch, or my phone, and be like, "Damn, this movie's been going forever."
I had
Even
a couple moments where I was like, oh, this is longer than I remember, but it wasn't because I was bored.
right.
It was because I kind of ran out of time to watch the movie. I was like, I need to get this
Yeah.
watched
Yeah. Yeah.
because I just had a busy week. But no, I found it very riveting. And then once we really got going, and it's a visually stunning and wonderful to look at film, from like in its cold dystopian 1984 style of viewing,
Yeah.
like the picture of the red on black with the double cross symbol that they have for their nation, and the all of that's very stunning to look at. And of course the V mask is iconic, obviously. Now, like, it's been adopted by Anonymous, who's great and definitely has no reason to come after us. um that's so
Keep doing great work, Anonymous.
creep it. Creep it. No, never mind.
Anyways, this movie ends with V blowing up Parliament, and essentially accomplishing what he had set out to do, but with his his dying wish is that Natalie Portman's character continue, and it was actually a very nondescript ending for V, I thought. His whole death scene wasn't really anything dramatic.
Yeah.
And it was very much, hey, this character doesn't matter. This character is just a voice, and that's the end of the movie. I highly appreciated the way that they handled V throughout. And yeah, he is this vigilante, and he is this kind of the face behind this revolutionary movement. But V, the character, ultimately didn't matter. And I think the movie did a really good job of reinforcing that.
Right on.
So,
I think. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna ask if you recommend this one.
I do. I've loved it. Very much. I think I enjoyed it more this time than I did as a youth, because
Oh,
I'm
very
older
much.
and recognize the truth in it. I found the dialogue to be wonderful, especially Hugo Weaving completely throughout the whole movie, just being such an enrapturing character that, without a mask, without facial expressions, is able to really carry a movie on his back so well. Loved Natalie Portman just about in anything she does, but she's great in this. So yeah, I fully recommend V for Vendetta. What
Yeah.
about you?
Same. I saw this movie when it came out. Did not grasp everything that it was offering at the time. And then watching it, this is the first time I've gone back, watched it all the way through. I was enthralled with the message in this movie, and kind of just how well written it was, how well acted it was. The visuals, I mean, everything about this movie holds up extremely well. And I just think it's because it's a timeless film. You can watch, it's one of those films you could throw on at any point in time, and the message stays the same. And we don't get movies like that a whole lot. And so I very much appreciate this film for that. And so I do recommend it.
And it looks great. It's fun to watch.
Yeah. Jeff, what are we watching next week?
Well, next week we're going to watch Johnny Mnemonic. It's a mnemonic. The first M is silent, I believe. Johnny Mnemonic from 1995, sang the Wachowski's own Keanu Reeves, as well as my dog. I'm so excited to watch a Dolph Lundgren movie. We haven't watched one since fucking Universal Soldier. I love Dolph Lundgren, as well as Ice-T. So looking forward to Johnny Mnemonic. Might be a shit show. Not sure. Haven't seen it since it came out. But I mean, it'll be fun.
It may be fun. I've never seen it, so I don't know. But
Oh, you're gonna hate it. Like I already know. I don't know that for certain, but I feel comfortable. I haven't seen this in a long, long time. I might hate it. So
well, what I don't hate is that it's an hour and 35. So
there you go.
I do love a quick
I
movie.
took care of you. Have you thought about what next month's theme is going to be? No, next month is June. You don't have to think about it.
I don't have to think about it because we're redrafting.
Yeah, I need to update the list with our current themes.
But yeah, so join us next week as we watch Johnny Mnemonic. And what you can also do is hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. That way you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content right here on the channel. And if you want to follow the podcast on all of your favorite social media platforms, we're at Movie Draft House. We're on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, right here on YouTube. So give us a like, follow, and subscribe. Jeff, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on the worldwide internet. Actually, really only one place. My other podcast called Chronologically. You can find out more about that at chronologically.net.
All right. Jeff, any last words?
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.